Okay, very nice. Couple of things I think we need to work on. Some balance issues, I think, will, and then I have a couple of questions regarding some of the rubato retardandos that we're doing. I'm not opposed to them. I just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with what you're doing, with your decisions. So, the second time that you guys went back to the theme, the pickup was great. It was really together. It's very difficult to start this movement, right?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. So one of the things I would definitely suggest whenever you guys are rehearsing, since you're learning the entire piece, play the end of the second movement so that you get a sense of the timing. Because the second movement, ends so quietly, and then you're sort of coming out of that mood, and then it'll give you the right feeling for the pickup. So I would say that when you practice it by yourself, again, singing the pickup, and again, don't follow him, don't respond to him, coming together or cue together.
Yeah.
Then you will know that you will definitely be together. Otherwise, if we respond, there's a possibility that you're going to be late, or that it's just not going to be together. So now that you've played the movement, can you start the movement one more time? Just the very beginning, just the very opening. There you go. So that makes a whole lot of difference, right? Even just knowing that you're playing that together. I thought that cue was also much more, just you engulfed her, you kind of brought her in with you, okay? So it's not just about breathing, but it's just about communicating. Think of it like a conductor, okay? All right, I love this feeling for this start. When this section comes back after the middle section, I think it's different.
Yeah.
I don't mind the dynamic here if it's a little bit more open, a little bit more cantabile in the opening. When we come back after that whole middle section, which is, very, dreamy, and it's almost like a maze. You're not really sure where you're going because the harmonies are so unstable, right? And there's a lot of chromaticism, and then suddenly it goes. The music should really come to a complete full stop. I feel like the end of this middle section. Stop. How do you come out of that is very important. So whatever you have here, which I thought was good, could have been a little softer, but and then it's too active for what just happened. For the beginning, it's perfect, but I think you guys could find maybe something a little bit different, a different color, softer. He does, I don't know, in your score, do you have the word teneramente?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which means what?
Tenderly.
Tenderly, yes. So he doesn't write that the first time.
Right.
So I think that Brahms is talking to us. Anytime a composer writes a word is so important, right?
Yeah.
It's not just the dynamic. The dynamic is the same. It's piano both times. But the second time he writes teneramente, which, I think it means he does want that to be softer. It's not just dolce, it's tenderly. It's even sweeter. So I think you guys have much more time. And Ruby, don't feel rushed in this. 1, 2, 3. Continue the retard. Because if you're doing a retardando in the last 2 bars, and then through the rests you push the tempo, then it feels too hectic all of a sudden. Okay, it's a very difficult transition. It's more difficult because there are rests, because we feel very uncomfortable with silence.
Yeah.
But if you think of the silence just as powerful, it has to be emotional. It has to be an emotional silence, not a counting silence. Otherwise, 1, 2, 3, 1. So, okay, so that's one place that I really want to practice. And then when we come out of this, our sound has to match. And then you can warm up the sound. And then even there, I think it's still piano. Because then what happens in the next page, then you have the forte. If you could keep it piano and avoid any urge to crescendo before the forte, then I think that forte has much more punch. The first time is different. The first time I don't mind it being warmer, but it's the same music, exactly the same music, right? We're playing, but it has to be different because we're coming from something completely different, which is that very, very difficult middle section. So let's jump around a little bit, okay? Let's do the opening, and then we're gonna jump to the second time, and I wanna see what you guys can do, what you can come up with each other that can be a little bit different and that can be more tender, as Brahms writes in the score, okay?
So it's
So we're gonna do the opening, the very beginning of the movement. Maybe let's do it until the end of the whole first section before the forte, okay? And then we're gonna jump. We're gonna do a little bit of jumping between the movement. Beautiful. That was even more beautiful than when you guys played it the first time. I heard a lot more back and forth between the melodies. Okay, so now, may we please, I know it's an awkward place to start, I don't know because of your breath, but before the fermata, let's count back. Would this be an okay place?
Yeah.
79. Can we start at 79? Okay. That's already better. I know, Ruby, you're still working on the pedaling.
Yeah.
I know that we had a lesson yesterday and worked on that, and it's a very difficult. So again, it needs to be a little bit more see-through, especially as you get down in the lower register, as dry as connected, but as thinly pedaled as possible would be good. Okay, so Ronhui, I have a question about your this place in you have those two measures of kind of arpeggiated chords, of intervals going up. So both times, three times it happens. So every time you guys did a little retardando going into it, and then you take a little bit of rubato, which is fine. But every time you did the same. So I like the idea of taking some placing the opening of those two bars that you're alone. I'm wondering if we may try one time without the retard, but just with a big diminuendo. So for example, da-da-da-dee, ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dee, as opposed to pararadim, pararadam, tararadim, tararadim, tariradim. For me, it's too much too soon. I'm not opposed to the idea, but I'm thinking that if we could try, because I think it's really hard for you to then make it go. You know?
Yeah.
So can we how about a little bit before that? Maybe the previous page. How about we do it from 29, where you have the theme, and so we can have the whole sense of the section. And okay, sorry. Can that be even more legato? So again, playing with clarinets, I mean, they have such a beautiful natural legato. So I would love these sweet. Not so much, especially the eighth notes. Shaping them much more, so that also when he's going with his eighth notes, they blend together a little bit more. If that's the second time, then there I would do the retard. One. Second section, right?
Yeah.
But if you're doing the repeat, then not so much retardando. So again, the planning, you have to really know what you're doing with your retards according to what's happening in the music. If the music is going back, then just a diminuendo, Ruby, in your here. Yes, but if the music is going to the next section, 2, 3, okay. I think this flows so much better without so much retard. And then you can do whatever you want. But if you retard so much the last 3 eighth notes, then you're stuck. Then yours has no way of going to the top. Makes sense?
Yeah. Makes sense.
Do you like that better?
Yeah.
I think so. And one of the times, whichever you want it, the first time, the repeat, or the last time I think would be the most appropriate. Then you can take even more time as you're playing the 2 bars. Tempo. You have to find, different ways of playing. It's very difficult because you play the same thing 3 times.
Right.
But it has to be different. It has to have a different sense, depending on where you're going. So that's what I feel. If you guys can get that planned, and by the way, it can change at any moment.
Right.
If he decides to do something else, or you decide to do something else, but you guys have to be ready and flexible to catch each other. And then I think this movement will really have a more cohesive feel to it. Balance-wise, the only place I think that we had some issues were here, when he gets to the low notes, and I think it's basically because of the pedal, I think.
Okay.
And the forte, dum, piram, param, piram, can that have, again, a much more
Energy?
Yes, more energy, more joyful, so that the opening, it's more expressive, it's more lyrical, and suddenly it becomes a little bit more like a German drinking song.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let's try from the beginning and have a little bit more of those contrasts.
Okay. Sorry.
That's
We're wrong
it.
in
Yeah,
there.
that's it. So this, when you do the return, you keep going.
Okay.
Good. That has so much more flow,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I feel that you guys are able to do some musical things that you didn't do before, even though you were taking more time.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm going to stop the recording.